Hi and welcome to the videos for section 10.9. This is the first of two videos. So in section 10.1 we looked at systems of linear equations, 10.8 nonlinear equations, and now in 10.9 we're going to be looking at solving inequalities. So not equations anymore, we're not looking at a line, we're not looking at the intersection of a line that gives us 1 point. We're not looking at the intersection of a line and parabola that gives us 2 points. We're looking at inequalities. So, first off, so section 10.9, systems of inequalities. So to graph inequalities, how is it graphing an inequality different from graphing a line? Well, it's the following. First, we graph the equation corresponding to the inequality . So we change the inequality to an equal sign and then we graph it. Is it a parabola? Is it a circle? Is it a line? But when we graph it, we're going to use a dashed line or dotted line for greater or less than. So if it's not greater than or equal or less than or equal, it gets a dashed red dotted line. And we use a solid line. So this should be line. Use a solid line for greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. So what that's telling us is if it's a dotted line, it means don't include the values on that line. If it's a solid line, it means we include the values on that line plus all the values on one side or the other. So once we have the equation drawn, or the inequality drawn, then we're going to test a point in one of the regions that we have. So we're either going to have the top side of the line or the bottom, the inside of the circle or the outside. So we're going to pick any point we want in one region, and my suggestion is choose 0, 0 if possible. It'll make your math a lot easier. So if we plug that point in, simplify the equation, if true, then we shade that region. So if I have a circle and I pick 0, 0 and I put it into my inequality and it's true, then I shade the inside of the circle. If it's false, so I pick 0, 0, I put it in the inequality, I simplify it, it says nope, false, the thing I just created is false, then I shade the other region, in this case outside the circle. And again, we'll do a couple examples so it'll hopefully make a little more sense what we're doing here. So for example, so if you want to hit pause, catch up on the writing, if I'm a little bit ahead of you, that's fine. And then we'll do these examples. So example number 1, I want to graph y is greater than or equal to x squared. So first and foremost, I look at this inequality. It's greater than or equal, so this tells me I'm going to have a solid line. So now when I graph this, I graph it, get rid of the inequality, and write it as an equal sign. Y equals x squared. Oh, okay, I know what that is. That's my parabola with the vertex at the origin. So I get that parabola, it's a solid line, because it's greater than or equal, and this is why I tell you guys, don't do your exams in pen. Because if this was on the exam and I wrote it in pen and oh no, it's supposed to be a dotted line, how am I going to fix it? I got to scratch it out and start over. So use pencil, that way if you make a mistake you can go back and fix it. So I have what the equation looks like. It's a parabola with the center, with the vertex at the origin. I have to pick a test point. Unfortunately, I can't choose 0, 0 here because it's on the parabola. So I have to pick a different one. You can pick anything you want as long as it's not on the line or on the parabola. So I'm just going to pick 0, 2. That's this point here, inside of the parabola. And again, you can test any point you want. You could choose 10, 0. You could choose negative 3, 0. You could choose 0, negative 1. You can choose anything you want. You could choose 1, 10. But again, make life easier on yourself. Use zeros if you can. So I'm choosing 0, 2. This is my x value. This is my y. Plug it into my inequality. So that says y is 2 greater than or equal to x, which is 0 squared. 2 is greater than or equal to 0. That is true. So I put my number in. I simplified it. 2 is greater than or equal to 0. True. So what that means, if it's true, I shade that region. So I have to shade the region that has my test point. So I'm shading inside the parabola. So just to show you what would have happened otherwise, let's say instead I chose the point 3, 0. So we're basically done at that point. But I'm just showing you that if we chose 3, 0, what would have happened? So I'm going to test the point 3, 0. If I plug it in, y is 0, greater than or equal to 3 squared. 0 is greater than or equal to 9. That is not true. 0 is not greater than or equal to 9. So that's false. So if it's false, I shade the other region. So the point that I was testing was on the outside of the parabola. It was here. I got a false answer, so I have to shade the other region, which is inside the parabola. So I still end up shading the correct part. I just got there in a different manner. So let's try another example. So I'm going to erase this so you have the writing on the board there. So I would say, once I put this up, go ahead and hit pause. Give it a shot, see if you can solve it. So example 2, y is less than x squared. So yeah, go ahead, hit pause. Try to work it out using the logic we just did for the last problem. Come on back, we'll see if you got the right answer. All right, welcome back. So first thing, less than, that means it's going to be a dotted or a dashed line, depending on what verbiage you want to use. Change that to an equal sign, so I'm still graphing y equals x squared. So it's still my parabola through the origin. The only difference is it's now a dotted or a dashed line, depending on how you want to call it. Pick a test point. So again, I'm going to choose the point 0, 2. You can choose whatever you want, as long as it's not on the line or on your curve. So I'm going to test 0, 2. If I plug that in, y is equal to 2 is less than 0 squared. 2 is less than or equal to 0. That is false. 2 is not less than 0. So false means I shade the other region. So my point that I tested is inside the parabola. That gave me a false answer, so I need to shade everything on the other side, which is basically the outside of the parabola. So that is my solution. So what this means, and I should have explained this in our first example, this is an inequality. With an equal sign, we have just the line itself. The inequality means I can choose any of these points in the shaded region, and it makes this inequality true. And that's why we're picking a test point and then shading the other side, because it's completely random what point I pick, right? But if every point inside of here is false, then everything on the outside has to be true, and that's my shaded region. And that's what the shaded region is telling me, is that everything in this area where I have the blue hash marks here is a solution to my original inequality. Let's try one more. Again, I'll erase this. I'll leave that one up. No, I'll erase it. Then we have the writing there so we can go back and check what we're doing. So our third example is I want to graph x squared plus y squared is less than 25. So again, go ahead and try to give this one a shot. Hit pause. Graph it as what? This is our circle. If we change the inequality to the equal sign, this is a circle with center of what? 0, 0. What's my radius? Square root of 25, which is 5. So go ahead and draw that. Pick your test point, see where your shading is. Come on back, see if you got it right. All right, welcome back. Again, first thing I'm going to do is recognize that this is a dotted line. So that way when I start drawing this, I get at least the line correct, if it's dotted or solid. As we said, this is a circle with the center is at 0, 0, the origin. Radius is square root of 25, which is 5. And, see what I did there? That's why you don't use pen. It should be what? It should be a dotted line or a dashed line. So that's what the circle should look like. That's why we don't use pen. Pick a test point. So in this case, I can now pick 0, 0. And why do I do that? Well, when I do it, all of my calculations, all the variables just go to 0. So I get what? 0 squared plus 0 squared is less than 25. 0 is less than 25. That's true. So because it's true, I have to shade the region that has that test point, which is inside the circle. So my answer should look like this. Any point that I pick that's inside that 5 radius circle is going to be true for that inequality that I started with. Okay, so that's graphing inequalities. That's the end of video 1. Come on back, we'll look at video 2, which is the second and last video. I don't know if I said that at the beginning. We have 2 videos for this section. Come on back and we're going to look at solving inequalities.